Did I paddle out with Herbie Fletcher? Yes. It was on my birthday. I think I was turning like 33 or 34. And a buddy of mine goes, hey man, on your birthday, leave the whole day open. I got a special birthday present for you. And I was like, what? He goes, yep, I'm going to pick you up in the morning, grab your board. We're going to go surfing. There's going to be some people there. And I'm like, people there? He's like, just trust me on this. I'm like, all right. So I get up in the morning and he shows up at my house and there's a bunch of my bros in the car, and we get in there, throw my longboard in there at a 9.0 oak foil longboard. And we go down to San Onofre. And as we're driving down there, I'm like, oh, we're going to surf Old Man. It's great. Like we've done a million times. He's like, no, dude, no. And we get off and he goes, we're going to Herbie Fletcher's house. And I go, like the Herbie Fletcher? And he goes, yeah. At that point, Christian was good friends with my buddy. So that's how that relationship started between Herbie and my buddy. And we pull up, and I remember we pull up to Herbie Fletcher's house. Garage doors open. Herbie's there. There's boards everywhere. And I remember we all get out of this car, and he goes, all right, so who's the birthday boy? And they all go, he is. And he goes, what's up? I'm Herbie. Gives me a handshake. And it's everything you'd expect from Herbie. He's got the board shorts on, just sitting there. He's drinking coffee. He's like, all right, man. He goes, you guys are stoked. There's a swell. Next thing I know, we're walking down from Herbie Fletcher's house. And before we left, though, he looked at my board. He goes, what are you riding? And I go, I'm riding this. And I put down the board. And without missing a beat, he looks down and he looks at the fin in the board. And I don't even know how he did it. He goes, yeah, this ain't going to work. Takes my fin out, goes into his garage, and then comes out with one of his fins, throws it in my board. He goes, yeah, this is going to be much better for you. And I'm like, okay. Next thing I know, we're walking down the trails to go down there, and it's like me and my buddy Shane, the other two dudes that came, Herbie, and then there was this one other friend of mine that came, super, super sweet guy. And he's like, dude, this is so crazy. We're going to surf with Herbie Fletcher. And we get down to the break. And I remember right when I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is way out of my league. Like I want to say it was definitely head high to a foot overhead on the sets. Like everyone out there is a ripper and it's just, sometimes there's a lot of energy in the water. That's all I can put it as. There's a lot of energy in the water and there's a crowd. And I'm just feeling from the moment I see it so uncomfortable. And the other friends of mine, they paddle out because they're rippers. And it's me, Herbie, and this one other bro of mine. And we're just sitting there. And I'll never forget, Herbie's looking at me. He's like, what's freaking you out? And I go, well, I don't know, man. It's just pretty big, Herbie. I don't know. Maybe I'll just sit in. And I'll never forget. He gets in this stance where how he puts his feet on the ground and then just sits kind of on his ass. And he's just looking out there. So then for some reason I feel, yeah, I'm going to sit like that too. So then I get down and he rips out a joint and he just lights this joint. He's smoking this joint. And you got my bro on one side, you got Herbie in the middle, and then me. And Herbie's just going, he's all right. So you got to think about it this way, man. Water comes in, water goes out. Say it with me. Water comes in, water goes out. And I don't know what it was, but I'm like, yeah, water goes in, water comes out, and I start saying it with him, and he offers me a hit off the joint. I'm like, no, man, I'm cool. And he goes, all right, so what's freaking you out? I go, I don't know. He goes, could you surf that wave right there? And I go, yeah, I could surf that. He goes, okay, well, then you wait for that wave. I go, yeah, but dude, I'm freaking out because it's like, dude, look at that set right there. Herbie, I won't. He goes, what's freaking you out? I go, well, dude, my board's going to, he goes, your board? He goes, hey, man, this is what you got to do. He goes, you're bored? You're afraid you got to duck dive? He goes, no, man. He goes, here's the deal. This is what you got to do. Takes a big hit off his joint. He goes, so when the wave comes in, he goes, you look behind you. And if there's no one behind you, ditch your board, man. I go, no, you're not supposed to. He goes, no, man, if there's no one behind you, you're wearing a leash. He goes, you just ditch your board, man, and you dive under the wave, and your board's going to get pulled. And as your board's pulling you, you put your arms out, and you just pretend you're in outer space, man, and you just play with it, and you have fun. And, dude, I'm like, at that moment, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm putting my arms out. He goes, yeah, man. He's smoking the joint, telling me how water comes in, how I'm going to dive under, I would never ditch my board. I'm the guy that holds onto it over the falls. And he's telling me, just ditch it as long as there's no one behind you. And he goes, so are we in? And I remember I'm like, okay. And he stands up, puts the joint out. We grab our boards. And I remember it was like a scene out of a movie. We walk down to the water, energy everywhere. He's like, all right, so here's the deal. We're going to wait for a break in the sets. And when I say go, we go. And you do not stop paddling until I tell you to. And I just remember, like, anyone that knows me would say, yeah, dude, Joe's not going to do it. But this moment with Herbie, he had me like in a trance. He could have told me, like, we're going to go, we're going to jump out of planes with no parachutes. And I would have done it. I mean, like, he had me in the zone. And I remember I'm looking at my friend and my friend's like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even paying attention to my friend. I'm just looking at Herbie. We go down to the water. I put my leash on, I look, and he goes, all right, man. And I'm watching these sets come in, and finally there's a lull and he's all, go. And I remember Herbie just jumps down and he's just paddling out. He goes, go. And I remember I throw my board down and my buddy throws down his board and we're paddling. And as we're paddling, a set starts to come. And Herbie goes, just paddle. And I remember I'm paddling and I hear the dude behind me, my friend, go, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. He just bails. And now it's just me and Herbie paddling out. I make it over the set. I make it over another wave. And before I know it, I'm in the lineup with Herbie. And I remember I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm out here with him. Of course, he knows everyone in the lineup. And because I'm with him, everyone's kind of like, well, who's this dude? All right, I guess. And I remember sitting there with Herbie, and he's like, yeah, man, good job. And he's like, okay, we're just going to wait it out. We're going to wait for your wave. He goes, just wait for your wave. And I'm like, okay. And then I remember, one set comes through and pretty gnarly. And then all of a sudden he's like, what about this? And before I can answer, he's like, go. And I remember everyone in the lineup looks at me and I'm like, all right. And I remember all it's going through my mind. I was like, if this is where it ends, it ended with Herbie at Cotton's on my birthday. Legendary way to go out. Like, we never saw Joe again. It would be fine. Like, that great way to go. And I remember I take off and it was a left and I'm jamming down the line. And I pop out of the wave and I'm like, oh, and then he's like, tells me to come back out. I paddle back out. Remember I caught like 2 more waves and I came in and I was just, I couldn't believe it, and I remember that night that afternoon, we're back at Herbie's place and, we're putting the boards back in the car to drive back up to Hollywood. And, he's like, I'm like, Herbie, you made my birthday so great. And thank you so much. And then that night at my house, like, everyone's telling the stories to one another. And, and I remember the bro that didn't paddle out. I felt so bad because like he had no war story. He just was getting beers out of the cooler for everybody. Like, yeah, I bailed out on that, and, it was one of those moments though, man. Like, seriously, every birthday I ever have, I always think about, like, I wonder what Herbie would do.